Are we going? We recording? Good morning, everybody. Mosquito got me. Give me like 10 seconds and we'll get this video started. So the whole cool music into a hook set with a big fish intro, let's talk about it, that didn't happen. Now don't you worry, we will get back on the water to catch some late summer fish on, hint hint, topwater frog. But first I kind of want to lay out the overview of this video. Today in this video we're talking about the dog days of summer. It is hot, as you can probably see from my face right now. I am sweating just sitting here. It's only 9 o'clock in the morning and it's already 95 degrees outside. The weather is hot and the fishing is slow. This time of the year leads to some really tough fishing, but it is not impossible to catch those fish. In this video, we're going to talk about some of my secrets when it comes to catching fish in the late summer period that's kind of all encompassed by one general thing, and that is sacrifice. Sacrifice? What the heck does that mean, and how does that help me to catch any fish? We're going to define what I mean and so much more in this video. My name's Tyler, and let's talk about it. Well, how's it going, everybody, and welcome back to Tyler's Real Fishing. My goal here on this channel is to help you guys become better bass anglers, no matter where you fish, whether it's a bank angler, kayak, john boat, or a bass boat, or any other watercraft in between. I love teaching you guys how to use your skills and knowledge to catch more fish, and of course, advance in those skills and knowledge. So if that sounds like you, hit that subscribe button to join Team TRF and get us to 250,000 subscribers. We are on the way. Now, before we hop into this content, I have an awesome announcement, and that is you guys can win a fishing trip with me. You guys ask all the time, Tyler, do you do guide trips? How can we get the chance to fish with you? This is one of those chances. Every single year I partner with Bass for Beckers, which is a muscular dystrophy fundraiser organization, nonprofit, that raises money for muscular dystrophy and to send kids with MD to camp. It is a cause and an organization that I'm very proud to represent and to raise money for. And so if you guys want to win a trip with me, the whole month of September, we are trying to raise $50,000. Last year, we raised $49,000. The raffle tickets are $25, and each one of those tickets gets you entered into winning a fishing trip with me. All expenses paid. We'll fly to Texas, me and you, and maybe a buddy. We'll go out there and catch some fish. But the cool thing is, it's not just a fishing trip with me. You also have the chance to win an $80,000 bass boat, a brand new 2021 Skeeter, all rigged out. It's got four Lowrance electronics, ghost trolling motor, power pull charge, Pro Guide lithium batteries. It's basically the exact boat that I have right now, plus one more graph. And you can win all of that by just purchasing one raffle ticket. Now, of course, ideally you guys purchase a bunch of raffle tickets. We're trying to raise $50,000. So please check out the link in the video description below. And again, it is bassforbeckers.com. I'm so proud to represent them, and in this month we're trying to raise $50,000 for charity. So with that said, let's hop into the content. So most of the time here on the channel, I like to start my videos by sitting down, explaining, talking about the topic as the catchphrase goes, let's talk about it. But in this specific instance, it is very crucial that I am on the water. I'll zoom in a little bit so y'all can see me a little bit more, but the topic of today's video, like you saw in the title, is going to be how to catch fish and how to be an efficient angler in this really tough time of the year. I mean, where I'm from in Texas, August and September, the dog days of summer, are the hardest time of the year to catch fish. And I'll go into why that is here in a second. Some of the metabolism rates of fish and the water temperatures and forage and the amount of forage that's out there right now for them to eat. This is a very difficult time to catch fish. So we're gonna start by talking about topic number one, and all of this is gonna take place as I'm fishing. So I know it's a different atmosphere than y'all are used to. But what I said in the intro is that it's gonna take some kind of sacrifice. And I know that was kind of cryptic, and you might think, Tyler, what the heck does that mean? Well, the first thing that means is that you're gonna have to sacrifice sleep during this time of the year. I know that we as anglers like to say we don't like to sleep in, but at least for me personally, that's not true. I do enjoy my sleep. And so if I can sleep in and catch big bass, that's a win-win for me. During the spring, during the fall, and of course during the winter, that's a possibility. You can sleep in, you can still go out there and catch fish, at least where I'm from here in Texas. Now, this video doesn't really apply to Minnesota, New York, Michigan, Pennsylvania. You guys don't really have a late summer per se, or at least most of the fisheries that I've been to in that area. So for you guys, you're lucky because you don't have that crazy dog days of summer. that the fish get really, really tough to bite like we do down here. But the first thing, like I said, you have to sacrifice sleep in order to get out to the lake or the pond or the river, whatever you're fishing, early in the morning. Today, the sunrise was at 7 o'clock. And so in order to get to the lake, which was a full 2 hours away from my house, I had to get up at 4:30 in the morning. I don't want to have to do that. I definitely went to sleep way too late last night to get up at 4:30, but that was the sacrifice that I had to make in order to get out here and catch fish. I'm telling you guys that no matter what type of body of water you fish, you have to get out there early. I'm talking before the sunrise. This is definitely not like an instructional video. This is more of a informational and reminding video that I know a lot of you guys out there know that it's important to get out there early in the morning to take advantage of these fish and the activity they have in the mornings. But this video is serving as a reminder that if you're going fishing tomorrow, if you're going fishing next weekend, get out there early. I definitely didn't even get out here early enough. By the time I set up the cameras, the sun was already peaking the horizon. I would love to be out here for what my phone is going to show you here in a second. When I was driving here, I was about 20 minutes away, and that right there on your screen, what you're seeing is what you want the sun to look like as you were getting out on the water. If not, total darkness. I know some guys in the summer, late summer, get out to the lake at 3 in the morning so they can take advantage of that nighttime feeding window and then that early morning feeding window. I'm married, so getting out to the lake at 2 in the morning is not really preferential, but you do have to make sacrifices this time of the year, and the sacrifice number one is going to be fishing earlier in the morning. At least where I'm from, it gets way too hot by like 9 a.m. Can't even really catch any fish, and I'm gonna check the lighting real quick. So that is sacrifice number one. We are already into a very sunny side of the lake. So to move on to sacrifice number two, we're gonna put the rod down, get the trolling motor up, and we're gonna head to the complete other side where the sun is rising from, because that side will be shaded for quite a lot longer. We're gonna talk about why that shade matters here in a second. We've made it to the other side of the lake, which, as you can tell by the lighting of this video, is quite a bit more shaded. And like I said, we're gonna talk about the reasoning for shade and why you, what I call chase the shade here in the late summer. But the sacrifice number two that you have to be willing to make, and this is one thing that I personally don't struggle with, but I have talked to people that have, and that is that you have to be willing to sacrifice distance. I know that not everybody gets the luxury of living around different types of lakes, but here in Texas, and really in a lot of places I travel around the country, most people live within a few hours of several different styles of lakes, whether it's East Texas and you have a lot of grass lakes and wood lakes, but a few rock here and there, and you may feel very comfortable catching fish on your home body of water, but the problem is that body of water might not be the best one for the late summer. In my experience, grass lakes and deep clear lakes are the best ones to catch fish at in the late summer. I live in Frisco, Texas, which is north of Dallas. There are tons and tons of lakes in my area. None of them are any good in the late summer. We have mostly dirty water, some rock, some wood, and the fish are just kind of suspended out there. We're gonna sit down after I get out of the prime fishing time, and we're gonna talk about, like I said, chasing shade. We're gonna talk about forage species and everything else that kind of makes this time of the year confusing. But you have to be willing to sometimes drive to lakes that might be a little bit farther away just because you want to catch fish. After so many years, I've just figured out what types of lakes around me are best for this time of year. And by best, I mean highest percentage to catch fish. And so I'm willing to make a longer drive in the morning, of course, which we talked about in sacrifice number one, which loses sleep, but also loses gas, loses miles on my truck, because I know these lakes have a higher percentage of me having success than the lakes that are around my house. As soon as the fall kicks in, I know that I can stay closer to home and catch fish, but during this time of the year, you have to be willing to make those two sacrifices. So let's go ahead and sit down on the boat deck to talk about a few other key kind of environmental things that happen during this time of the year that can make fishing tough. And then we'll kind of come back to the water, and hopefully I'll have caught some fish here in the next few minutes. So we'll see y'all back down on the boat deck. I kind of want to talk about some of the environmental factors that go into making this time of the year so tough. And at first I'm going to talk about forage, then I'm going to talk about water temperature, and then I'm going to talk about usually air conditions that all lead to fishing generally being pretty dang tough. Now, as anglers, we want to fish for fish that are hungry. And so a part of that is that you want to fish areas that, of course, fish are feeding, but they don't necessarily have abundant stuff to eat. Because if you think about it, if you put yourself at a dinner table and there's 18 different types of meats, let's say you're at a Brazilian steakhouse, they keep slicing meat, and somebody offers you, like, I don't know, a turkey bologna sandwich, you're not going to want to eat that because you have so much delicious food over here. And that's exactly what we're dealing with in this time of the year, is that we have gone through not only the bass spawn, then we have the shad spawn. So all the bait fish, the shad, the minnows, they've all spawned, and there's tons of those around. As a matter of fact, the months of August and September are when you have the most bait fish in your lake out of all the months out of the year. The bluegill spawned right after the bass did, and this is the time of the year when you're going to have the most bluegill out of any other time of the year. And so there's just so much forage for those fish to eat. And so in order for them to eat your lure, you have to oftentimes present it in a different way or straight in front of their face. Oftentimes fish are not going to chase down your lures. The months of August, September, at least where I'm from here in Texas in the South, they are not the months to be throwing reaction baits for the most part. It is usually a low and slow type thing. You are dragging a Texas rig, Carolina rig. The times of a deep crankbait, a flutter spoon, they still work. That's kind of more of the early brush pile offshore type deal. In this time of the summer, in this part of the summer, it just gets really, really slow, and so you have to slow down. Now, there's going to be situations where fish are going to be chasing bait fish, pushing them up shallow either in the morning or later in the afternoon, and you can catch them what's called schooling fish, and I'm sure I'll have a video coming out on that pretty soon. But even in that situation, you have to throw your lure, as we'll talk about, right where those fish are feeding, because if you do not throw it exactly where they are, they have so much other, real forage, real minnows to actually eat. Now, moving on to category number 2 that makes fishing hard, and that's going to be water conditions. Usually, no matter where you are in the country, August and September are the hottest the water ever gets in your lakes all year round, which forces fish's metabolism to slow down for the most part. They're just lethargic. I mean, like, I'm hot out here. I want to go sit in my truck, go drink a cold, crisp Gatorade and just kind of relax. That's exactly what these fish want to do. They don't want to chase around a whole bunch of bait fish all day long. That's why you see schooling fish. They're kind of waiting and they're just chilling there. All of a sudden they get hungry, they school, they come back down to the deep water. Fish do not want to have to move a whole lot during the summer, just like we don't want to have to move a whole lot during the summer. There's something in larger lakes called a thermocline, and you can kind of see it on your graph if you use sonar or downscan. You can usually see where that is. This time of the year, that thermocline starts to break up, and those fish can literally live in any water column they want. They can live in 100 feet of water, they can live in 2 feet of water. So instead of knowing, all right, the fish have to be shallower than the thermocline, they have to be shallower than 20, 25, 18 feet, and that eliminates a ton of water, that thermocline starts to break up. Those fish can be anywhere, and they can be chasing bait fish and forage everywhere. So be aware of those water conditions. Now, category number 3 that makes fishing hard this time of the year is going to be weather conditions. As you can tell around me right now, it is so hot, it is so still, there's not a cloud in the sky. That's generally the weather we have here in Texas, and that just forces fish that have no eyelids to go into deeper water and to go underneath cover, and it drains us as humans, and I can guarantee you it drains the fish as well. Now, all of that together, what do you have to do to catch fish? Of course, you have to sacrifice sleep. You gotta get out there earlier, I don't care where you're fishing. You gotta sacrifice distance sometimes. Go to places that maybe you've never been before, or you have more confidence in catching fish. You know there's maybe more bass there, maybe not as many big ones, but there's more bass. And so if you want to have a successful fishing day, catch some fish, go to places you know you probably can. And when you do those first 2 things and combine fishing techniques that fit with the forage species that are in the area, the weather conditions and the water conditions, which I have tons of videos on, topwater fishing, offshore fishing, all that kind of stuff can work during this time of the year, but it is definitely a struggle. I'm not gonna lie, I have trouble catching fish in this time of the year. I do catch a few at the end of this video here. Make sure you guys stay tuned for that. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you learned something. I'm getting hot. I'm going inside, but y'all will see fish catching here in a second. So we'll see you guys back out there on the water. There's one. Good grief, my hand slipped. Come on, catch up, catch up, catch up. You gotta be kidding me. Dang it. Dang it, dang it, dang it. I'm done with these handles. For some reason on my Hyper Mag, I put the original paddle grips. Stinking mistake. Just cost me a fish. My other wing grips got all old and wet. Oh, and I just sliced my finger open. Gosh, dang it, that was a big one too. Okay. Okie doke. So there are fish shallow, but not too many of them. There's one. Hey. All right. Sick. Kept my finger on the reel. Hey, let's go. First fish. The bummer is I don't know how much more of these little pockets we have before the sun comes up, but that's a success, folks. The 2 hours we drove here, the 4 hours of sleep we got are not in vain. Ah, we got him good. All right, so that's two fish, or one that I've caught, two bites in these little, can my chest mount see that right there? It's like a grass patch little channel kind of thing in the back of a little cut. So, power pull down. We'll fish this one, that one. We'll run around, and I think there's a few more we can hit before the sun comes up too much. This is challenging. I want it to be fall already. See, I see why people now hunt in the fall, because they want to skip this rough part. There's little schoolers coming up. Oh, I'm gonna wait for them. It's about that time, like I talked about, that the bait fish start suspending farther off the bottom, oftentimes getting pushed by these bass and other predators up near the surface, and you'll see some schooling action. But it seems pretty slow. That's the first schooling I've seen. Now it's only like 9:30 in the morning, so can't expect a whole lot, but I'm giving up on the punching and the drop shot. There's no fish biting it, man. I'm sure there's somewhere in this lake. It's a big lake, but can't figure it out. So I'm just gonna wait around with my top water. Oh, there's one busting over there. So they're doing their thing. You just gotta wait for them to start doing it around you. So I might start casting kind of down the points like this, but just keep my eyes aware, because if you find some active fish, they are not active for long, and you gotta get your bait in there. All right, I take that back, we're punching. I know this video is all over the place, and that's because my mind is all over the place. I have no clue what to do. There's one on the frog in some slop. Yes, there we go. Just had to find the good slop, and we're bringing them in here. Oh yes, that feels good. That feels good, yes, okay. So there are fish in the hydrilla. You can't punch for them, you can't throw a drop shot, gotta throw a frog. Okie doke, sounds good with me. Yeehaw. And that's what you get from this time of the year. Sometimes you line up to bat and you hit a home run, and sometimes you strike out and smash your bat on your knee, and that's kind of where I'm at today. But hopefully you all enjoyed this video and learned something about bass fishing to make yourself a better angler. I can't wait for some cold fronts to finally come here to Texas to cool down this water and make fishing a little bit better. Again, if you enjoyed the content, hit that subscribe button. I love teaching you guys how to become better bass anglers. My name's Tyler, and we'll see you next time right here on TRF.